I looked at my saved for later folder on YouTube yesterday, and honestly, it is a graveyard.
Oh, no.
It's basically a monument to all the versions of myself I thought I was going to be.
I think we all have one of those.
There's the me who learns to code in Python, the me who finally speaks fluent Italian, and then there's the me who learns how to play that guitar that is, right now, a very expensive coat rack.
The guitar is always the one, isn't it?
Always. And every single time I look at that pile of, well, dead dreams, I tell myself the same thing to make the guilt go away. I just don't have the time.
And you're definitely not alone in that. That phrase, I don't have time, it's like the ultimate adult pacifier. Just, it shuts down the guilt immediately.
It does.
But if we're being honest, it feels incredibly real. You look at your calendar, you see the meetings, the family stuff, the errands, and the idea of carving out space to be a beginner at something new.
It feels like a luxury.
A luxury you just can't afford.
It feels impossible. But today we're going to look at why that impossible feeling is, well, actually a lie. We are diving deep into a breakdown of the book, The First 20 Hours by Josh Kaufman, which was presented by Pinar Özkent.
Right.
And the mission for this deep dive is, I think, pretty aggressive. We are going to try and shatter that procrastination cycle.
And we aren't just talking about, trying harder or waking up at 4 a.m. We're looking at a very specific, tested methodology to learn any new skill.
Like coding, a language?
Windsurfing, whatever, in a shockingly short amount of time.
Yeah.
And the key here is that this is designed for people who are already overwhelmed.
Which is exactly where the author, Josh Kaufman, was coming from. I mean, he didn't invent this system because he was bored. He invented it because he was desperate. He had just become a new father, right?
He did, and that context is so crucial. Anyone with kids knows that moment that baby arrives, your whole concept of free time is just obliterated.
Gone.
Kaufman describes this realization that his life, as he knew it, was over. No sleep, no silence. And he had this terrifying, almost existential thought. I will never learn anything new again.
Wow.
He thought his brain was effectively retiring because he lacked that mythical free time.
So he went down the rabbit hole. He wanted to figure out, what's the minimum effective dose? How long does it actually take to acquire a new skill? Not to master it, but just to be able to do it.
And this is where we have to confront the biggest myth in learning. The number that I think haunts all of us.
Oh, the 10,000-hour rule.
The 10,000-hour rule.
I feel like we can't escape this rule. It's absolutely everywhere.
It's the cultural mantra of our time, right? Popularized by Malcolm Gladwell. The idea is simple. If you want to get good at something, you need to put in 10,000 hours of practice.
But let's actually look at what 10,000 hours looks like in real life. Because when you do the math, it's absolutely depressing.
It's crushing. 10,000 hours is the full-time job. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 5 years.
5 years?
So if you're a busy professional and you think, I want to learn photography, and your brain whispers 10,000 hours, you quit before you even pick up a camera.
Because who has 5 years? I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing next week. But here's the thing that Kaufman found when he actually looked at the original research by Anders Ericsson. We've been getting this wrong the whole time.
We have been completely misinterpreting the data. Ericsson was studying the absolute outliers.
The extreme.
Exactly. He was looking at grandmaster chess players, professional violinists, Olympic athletes. The 10,000 hours is the price of admission to become the top 1% in the world in a hyper-competitive field.
So basically, we've been confusing competence with world domination.
That's a perfect way to put it. When you say you want to learn Spanish, do you mean you want to write a Nobel Prize-winning novel in Spanish?
No.
Or do you just want to order tapas and ask where the bathroom is without having a panic attack?
Definitely the tapas option. Or if I want to play tennis, I don't want to play Serena Williams at Wimbledon. I just want to hit the ball over the net and have a beer afterward.
Precisely. The gap between knowing nothing and being world-class is massive.
Yeah.
That's the 10,000 hours. But the gap between knowing nothing and being reasonably good,
that's much smaller,
is shockingly small.
So let's give everyone the new number. If it's not 10,000 hours, what is it?
It's 20 hours.
20? Just 20 hours? That sounds almost too good to be true.
It sounds like a gimmick, I know, but it holds up. To go from zero knowledge to being reasonably competent, where you can self-correct, you understand the basics, and you're actually having fun takes about 20 hours of focused, deliberate practice.
And if you break that down, that is essentially 40 minutes a day for a month.
That's it. 1 month is a temporary contract you make with yourself. But, and this is a massive but, you can't just passively consume information for 20 hours.
Right.
You can't just watch YouTube videos about guitar. You have to practice in a very specific way.
Okay, so before we get to the how, I want to pause on what I think is the most important insight from this entire deep dive. Pinar Erskine really emphasizes this in her breakdown. We assume the reason we don't learn new things is a lack of time, or maybe we think we aren't smart enough. But she argues the real barrier isn't intellectual at all.
No, it's not intellectual. It's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I think high-performing adults struggle with the most.
Walk me through that. Why is it harder for a successful adult to learn something new than, say, a kid?
Think about your identity. As an adult, especially a successful one, you've spent years building this image of competence. You're the expert in the room. You know the answers.
Right.
You identify as a smart, capable person.
My self-worth is pretty wrapped up in not looking like an idiot.
Exactly. But the moment you start learning a new skill, let's say coding, you are, by definition, incompetent. You're confused, you're slow, you make mistakes. For a child, that's just Tuesday. They're used to not knowing things. But for an adult, that feeling of incompetence registers almost like physical pain. It's a direct threat to your identity.
That is so true. It's that cringe feeling. I tried to learn to skateboard a few years ago, and just standing on the board in the driveway, wobbling around, I felt so exposed. I felt small.
That is the barrier. We hate feeling stupid. We hate that clumsiness. So we procrastinate, we say, I don't have time, but what we really mean is, I don't have the emotional capacity to feel like a fool today.
So the 20-hour rule isn't just about time management, it's a psychological trick.
It is. You're framing the stupidity as a temporary condition. You're telling yourself, okay, I am going to feel like a clumsy idiot for exactly 20 hours, and after that I'll be competent. It makes the emotional pain manageable because there's a finish line.
I love that. It's a contract to endure the cringe. So let's say we're ready to sign that contract. We've got our 40 minutes a day. How do we actually use that time? Kaufman and Eskin lay out a strategy that breaks down into some key principles. But I want to start with the prep work because I feel like this is where people fail before they even start.
Absolutely. The first step is what they call lovability.
Which, I'll be honest, sounds a bit fluffy. Do what you love.
It sounds fluffy, but it's actually really pragmatic. You have to choose a skill you are genuinely excited about. A lot of people pick skills they think they should have.
Oh, yeah. I should learn Excel because it's good for my resume. Or I should learn French because it sounds sophisticated.
Exactly.
I have to push back slightly here, though. What if the skill isn't lovable, but it is, necessary? Like, what if I need to learn a new software for my job, but I hate it? Does the methodology just fall apart?
That's a great question. If you absolutely have to learn something boring, you have to find an angle that you love. Maybe you don't love the software itself, but you love the idea of leaving work an hour early because you mastered all the shortcuts.
Oh, okay.
You have to attach it to a desire, because without that desire, the frustration of the first 5 hours will make you quit. Willpower is a finite resource. Curiosity is renewable.
Okay, that makes sense. Find the hook that makes you care. Now, another trap I fall into, and I think this is the curse of the modern age, is I want to learn everything all at once.
Oh, yeah.
I get into a self-improvement mode, and I decide I'm going to get fit, learn Spanish, and write a book all in January.
And that is a guarantee that by February, you'll be doing none of them. This connects to the principle of focus on one skill. You have to be ruthless here. You have limited bandwidth, both time and emotional energy. If you split that 40 minutes a day across 3 different skills,
You'll never get past the suck phase in any of them.
never. You'll just be perpetually mediocre at 3 things instead of competent at 1. You have to pick one target. Put everything else on the someday list. For the next 20 hours, you are monogamous with this one skill.
Okay, so we're focused. Now, we need to set a goal, and this goes back to the Serena Williams comparison. You have to define what target performance looks like.
This is all about knowing when you are done. If your goal is learn photography, you will never be done. It's too vague.
You need a good enough goal.
A good enough goal. The source material used the example of the ukulele here, which I thought was perfect.
Yeah.
Kaufman didn't say, I want to be a rock star.
No.
No, he said, I want to be able to play these 4 specific chords so I could play a medley of pop songs at an event.
That's so concrete.
It's concrete. He knew exactly what success looked like. Or with language. Instead of, I want to be fluent, make the goal, I want to be able to have a 5-minute conversation without switching to English.
It stops you from over-preparing. You don't need to learn the entire dictionary to have that conversation.
Right. Aim for functional, not perfect.
So we have our target. Now we get into the actual tactics. This is the part I struggle with. I have the goal. But looking at a complex skill like coding or tennis, Feels like looking at a giant wall. How do you even start climbing it?
You don't climb the whole wall at once. You have to deconstruct the skill. This is crucial because what we call a skill is actually a bundle of smaller sub-skills.
Okay, give us a concrete example of that. If I want to learn to cook, that feels huge. How do I deconstruct that?
Okay, so learning to cook is impossible.
Yeah.
But if you break it down, it's actually knife skills, heat management, flavor balancing, maybe sauce making. You don't try to learn all of them at once.
Right.
You say, for the next 20 hours, I am going to focus entirely on knife skills. You buy a bag of onions, and you just chop them until you are fast and safe. Then you can move to heat.
That feels so much less intimidating. It's not become a chef. It's learn to chop an onion.
Exactly. And in language learning, this is huge. Don't try to learn the grammar of the entire language. Deconstruct it. Find the 300 most common words that make up, like 65% of daily conversation. Ignore the obscure stuff,
Focus on the high return sub skills.
the ones that give you the highest return on investment.
Okay, so I've broken it down. I'm ready to chop my onions, but usually this is where I get derailed by the environment. I go to start, but I can't find the right knife or the cutting board is buried in the dishwasher.
The friction trap. This brings us to the principles of obtaining tools and removing barriers. It sounds so obvious, but it's the #1 killer of momentum.
It is.
If it takes you 20 minutes to set up your practice space, you just won't practice.
I use this excuse all the time with my guitar. Oh, the guitar's in the case in the closet and I don't know where my pick is. I'll just watch Netflix instead.
We use those minor inconveniences to protect our ego from the work. So you need to remove the friction. Put the guitar on a stand in the middle of the living room. Have the pick sitting on the amp. The goal is to make starting the practice easier than not starting.
And it's not just physical barriers, right? It's emotional ones too, like the fear we talked about.
Yes. Panar mentions this great tip about language learning. If your biggest barrier is the fear of looking stupid speaking to a native speaker, don't make that your first step. That barrier is too high.
So what do you do?
Start by writing. Start by talking to yourself. Lower the stakes so you can actually get the reps in.
Okay, we are prepped. The environment is set. We are in the 20-hour window. Now we are practicing. But how do we know if we are getting better? I could chop onions for 20 hours and just be making a mess.
That is the danger. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. If you practice a bad golf swing for 20 hours, you haven't learned golf. You've just cemented a bad habit.
So you need feedback.
You need fast feedback loops. You need to know immediately if you messed up.
Immediately.
In the book, Kaufman talks about learning the game Go. He used software that critiqued his moves instantly. Panar talks about her son using a chess app that flashes red when he makes a blunder. You need that immediate signal.
So for my guitar example, maybe recording myself and listening back. Because in my head, I sound like Jimi Hendrix.
And the recording tells a different story.
A very different story.
Yes, exactly. The recording is the unbiased feedback. It hurts to listen to, but it closes the gap between what you think you're doing and what you're actually doing.
Now let's talk about the agony of the clock. Because when you are bad at something, 20 minutes feels like 3 hours.
It creates a time distortion field. This is why time boxing is non-negotiable. You cannot rely on, I'll practice until I feel like stopping, because you will feel like stopping after 90 seconds.
So you set a timer.
You set a timer for 20 minutes, and you make a deal with yourself. I'm not allowed to stop until the timer dings. It liberates you. You don't have to be good. You just have to outlast the timer. It helps you push through that initial frustration.
And while that timer is ticking, what is the mindset? Because I'm a perfectionist. I want every attempt to be good.
And that perfectionism will kill your progress. The final principle is quantity over quality. This is the rule for beginners. You need volume.
Panar had a great story about this with skiing, didn't she?
She did, and I love this story because it's so visceral. She decided to learn to ski, and she was terrified. She describes being on the mountain, cold, wet, skis crossing over each other, falling down constantly. It was miserable.
And most people would quit after the third fall.
Right. But she realized that if she tried to have perfect form, she would be paralyzed. So she shifted her focus. She didn't try to look graceful. She just tried to see how long she could stay standing up.
Just stay on your feet.
She focused on volume, just going down the slope, falling, getting up, going down again. She embraced the mess.
And it worked.
And because she focused on quantity, just getting the runs in, she figured out the balance much faster than if she'd been obsessing over the angle of her knees. In the beginning, volume creates quality. You have to be willing to be bad over and over again to get good.
So let's fast forward. We've done the prep. We've fought through the emotional barrier. We've time boxed our 40 minutes a day. We hit the 20-hour mark. What happens?
This is the magic moment. Usually right around that 20-hour mark, the suck factor disappears. The skill stops being a struggle and starts being a flow.
You're not thinking about where your fingers go on the guitar anymore. You're just playing the song.
Exactly. You have crossed the frustration barrier. And the best part is, once you hit that level of basic competence, you no longer need willpower to practice.
You do it because it's fun.
You do it because it's fun. You do it because you identify someone who can do it.
That's the payoff. You've rewritten that part of your identity. You are now a guitar player or a Spanish speaker.
And that stays with you. You invested 20 hours of discomfort for a lifetime of having that skill in your back pocket. When you frame it like that, it's the best investment you can make.
It really changes the perspective. We treat learning like this huge, heavy burden, but it's actually just a short, sharp sprint.
You get to sprint through a little bit of mud, and then you're in the open field.
So to everyone listening, I think the mandate is clear. Stop looking at that mile-long list of things you should learn. Stop feeling guilty about the graveyard of hobbies.
Pick one. Just one. Look at your calendar for the next month. Find that 40-minute window. Maybe it's 20 minutes in the morning and 20 at night. Mark it off.
Make that contract with yourself. Tell yourself, I'm going to look stupid for a month, and I am okay with that.
And if you were struggling to pick which skill to start with, I want to leave you with the question Pinar posed at the end of her breakdown. It cuts right through the noise.
It's a great question.
She asks, if you weren't afraid of failing, what is the one thing you would love to learn?
Answer that question, set your timer, and start your 20 hours. Thanks for diving in with us today.
See you next time.